Hey guys, what is going on? This is Panther Dragon, and today we're going to be talking about the patch 6.24 changes and things to look out for. For instance, we're going to be looking out for a champion called CAMILLE, but we're going to be talking about her a little bit later. Also, I did miss patch 6.23, that's because I forgot that it was happening, but I won't forget this time. And there's a bunch of changes in this patch, so, clench your butt cheeks and let's get started. Alright, so for some reason, even though this is patch 6.24, Season 7 is actually starting in this patch, so yeah, I'm gonna start the climb, you guys are gonna start the climb, and to be honest, I didn't think it would happen all so soon. So yeah, I guess, prior to the other seasons, Season 6 started in January, somewhere around the end, or maybe it was earlier, I don't remember, but this one's starting in December, which is pretty interesting. I guess they want people to play on the holidays, and gift each other so they make some money. They're also gonna make some money with CAMILLE. You know why? Because she's a really fun champion, she's actually really OP, and she kicks people. In all honesty, when I played with her on the PvE server, I thought she was just super OP, and I don't know if they've nerfed her since, but basically the reasons why I find her, well, super strong. And the reasons behind this is, well, her E is just on such a low cooldown when you have 40% CDR, it stuns people for 1 second, it gives you a ton of mobility in team fights, like the range doubles when you're going towards enemy champions, so that's really, really strong. Another thing is that her Triforce procs can actually do true damage with your Q, and your Q can actually activate 2 Sheen procs, so, Triforce pretty OP on her. And her W heals for 100% of the damage dealt, so, yeah, that's strong. One game I just built the Triforce on her, and I built like full tank right after, and I just was like shitting on everyone, so I know her base damage is actually really strong, and she also has really good CC with her E, so her going to the back line, just assassinating anyone and disrupting everyone while being really tanky. Oh, I forgot to mention her shield, that's actually kind of broken. And I actually tried an AD build on her, it's not that good. Her AD ratios aren't that big except for her Q, but the lethality build on her is not that great. Tried it and yeah, it felt really bad. Her ultimate is pretty cool though. It has an invulnerability state, so you can dodge some nice skill shots, and it's really good for picks, like really good, because they can't exit the arena in any way, so you get on a squishy and you'll probably kill them. Yeah, just think of Fiora, but like super tanky and very obnoxious to deal with. I think she's overtuned from when I played her. If they did nerf her, alright, that's good, but I think they need to nerf her E, like the cooldown on it, or like the range or the stun duration, because it's just too much right now. That's the most OP part of her kit, along with her shield coming from her passive. I think maybe the percentage health must be lowered, but I'm not on the ride balance team, so I don't know what I'm really doing too much, but those were the two things I found really OP on her. And I definitely recommend going Trinity Force on her, that's definitely a staple, and then building full tank. I don't recommend Hydra because her combo doesn't have time to use a time at active. Death Dance was okay on her, I kind of liked it. But again, I don't recommend building any AD, apart from the AD that you get from Triforce. But yeah, she's definitely going to be a top lane. She seems kind of broken in top lane as well, especially against range matchups, where she might be a permaban in solo queue. But all of this might be wrong and I may be an idiot, but probably not. I think her win rate on release will be about 51%, but later will be 53% as people figure out how to play her. But she is kind of easy once you get the hang of her. Next up, blue buff is no longer increasing your ability power by 15%, and the duration is increased to 2 minutes instead of 90 seconds. So this is interesting because they're not actually nerfing the red buff. Like, I think red buff gives a lot of power because it regens your health, but like blue buff gives you cooldown reduction and mana regen. Red buff gives you health regen and on hit. And so what I'm thinking right now is red buff is more stronger, but basically since blue buff gave AP, you were kind of forced to give your mid laner this buff, especially in the mid game and late game, but now you don't really have to. So I guess in that sense, junglers can be greedy now, and you don't have to be the mid laner's bitch anymore. But now I'm kind of gonna value red buffs over blue buffs now. Next up, this is a really important one. So basically, Krugs on the first clear, they give 50% less XP now, so you don't get level 3 off them. Cause if you guys didn't know, what junglers were doing was they were gonna do red buff and then Krugs and then gank top lane or bot lane, whichever side they started on, and it was just like the super cheesiest gank ever. And honestly, if you're like one of those lanes, you're kind of annoyed and you have to expect that to happen, but now you can expect the gank coming at 3 minutes now instead of like 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I also think that maybe you might want to skip Krugs in the first clear just because they're not as OP anymore, but but I mean eventually you'll have to clear it, so it's hard to say if you should prioritize on it because it does take a long time to take out. So maybe less prioritization on the first clear for the Krugs, but later on obviously you gotta get them sometime. Next up, Azir is getting a buff on his passive, you know, the turret. They're lowering the gold on it, so it's 50 gold, and now the damage on the turret does a little bit more, but not really. Then his W's cooldown has lowered by 2 seconds, so more sand soldiers, but honestly all of these buffs suck for him. Like, they're not enough to put him back into the meta. He's just such a bad champion right now, and I don't think these buffs will put him into the meta, and like people will still probably pick like Victor and stuff in the mid lane and Syndra. So yeah, I just can't really see this champion coming back into the meta. Next up, we're going to be talking about Fiddlesticks, and his W's drain power is being increased by 20 at level 1, while the cooldown on his E has been lowered by 3 seconds at level 1, but only 1 second at level 5. What does this all mean for him? Nothing, honestly. Like, the jungle is so bad for him right now because of the Krugs and Raptor Camp being super reliant on AoE, and also red buff and blue buff not having the little minions means he can't use his E to bounce off the little creeps, so it gets more damage onto the bigger fat monsters. So that's why, you know, powering up is a good thing, but honestly, he's still going to be shitty in the jungle. He's just going to be a little bit better. He definitely won't be in the meta though, but he could be a very good situational pick against like some top laner who can't CC him. I don't know. Either way, I think his win rate will go up about like 1.3%. It's not the hugest buff, but it kind of helps. Next up, we're going to be talking about Garen. So Garen in this patch is actually getting armor shred after 4 spins on a target, which is really weird, but that number is actually insane. And I actually have no idea why they're doing this, but it actually might put him back into the meta. Maybe. I don't really know how much spins he can get on a target and like how quickly it applies, but I just wonder how Black Cleaver Garen will work with this. I mean, dude, that's a lot of armor you can shred. Although I'm pretty sure his laning phase is like absolute garbage still. So like top lane, if he can hold out, I guess, but right now his win rate is super low, so he probably won't come back into the meta. I mean, he can't really proc Courage of the Colossus, so yeah, he's not really meant for the top lane. As you can see, he's meant for the jungle. His win rate will probably go up by like 1% after this though, so I guess that's good. It might be a little bit more, to be honest, but it'll still be under the 50%. Next up, Ivern is getting a nerf. As you can see, the mana cost is being increased on his E by 20 mana, and the slow is being reduced from 70% to 40%, and then level 60% at rank 5. And I actually think he's gonna be still a good champion. They didn't really reduce the cooldown or anything. His jungle clear is still probably gonna be there, and the support items he's still gonna build because they're, you know, super OP. But yeah, since the cooldown isn't going down, the base stats aren't going down, he's still gonna be a really good champion in the jungle, and probably still gonna be permabanned. So with this nerf, I predict he's gonna go down by like 1.3%, maybe a little bit less, but these nerfs aren't really that big. Next up is something really unexpected, but KOG'MAW is getting a buff and a nerf. And so they're buffing his W by 1% on every rank, but his AP ratio on his E is lowered by 20%, and his E's damage is being lowered by 20 at later ranks. Which is super weird because I didn't think his E was that OP. Is AP KOG'MAW in the mid lane like somewhat OP or something? I don't understand. But like, I don't even think KOG'MAW is a good AD carry right now. Now Guunzu's Rageblade did get buffed, but oh yeah, and Blade of Rune King got buffed. Oh yeah, maybe he is a good AD carry. You might actually see him somewhere in the future as an AD carry. Triforce, Blade of Rune King, Guunzu's Rageblade, etc. Ooh, he might be a champion you might see in the AD carry meta soon. But we just have to wait until a pro player plays it in the LCS or something. Anyways, win rate will probably, I don't know, stay the same. It depends on which one you're playing, right? AD carry probably goes up. AP KOG'MAW in the mid lane will probably go down. Next up is going to be LeBlanc. So apparently right now her in the mid lane is like pretty strong, like one of the strongest out of Assassin reworks. So that's why they're kind of nerfing her, but also buffing her at the same time? Question mark? Her health regen is going down, which I don't really know how much is worth, but it should impact her laning phase a little bit, I guess. And now her Q is actually getting a buff in terms of damage, so I think what people were doing was they were maxing out E, like after W, and Riot's like, no, you shouldn't be doing that, you should max out Q. So that's why they're giving more incentive to LeBlanc players to max out Q by buffing the base damage on it by 40. Holy shit, that's actually a lot, and they're lowering the wave clear ability of her Q. So, you know, you can't just one-shot a wave, which you can probably still do, but yeah, her Q damage was actually pretty weak compared to her E, because it didn't have the second part of it, which adds 25 damage, and you know, that's moved to the passive, so it makes sense that they're buffing this weak skill, which only went up by 25 damage per level. And that makes sense why E was so strong, because it went up by 50 damage per level, and the cooldown was lowered by like 0.75 seconds. So leveling E compared to Q was just so OP, like Q was just garbage. But yeah, after this change, I think her win rate will go down by like 1.3%, but it's also different because now she's going to be maxing out Q instead of her E, or maybe she might max out her E still, I'm not sure, but I think Q might be the better choice here. But let's see what the mid laners start maxing out now. Next up is going to be Rengar, so you can see attack growth is going up by 0.5 per level, and now full AD Rengar is actually getting a nerf, while tank Rengar is getting a buff. I think, as you can see, the percent bonus attack damage from his passive has now decreased by 10% at 5 kills, while the flat attack damage has increased by 5. That's like half a longsword, and this is a nerf, I think, in general. Well, actually, if you have 50 attack damage, you get 5 attack damage. So if you have less than 50 bonus AD, then this is a buff. But if you have more than 50 attack damage, that's bonus attack damage, then this is a nerf. So I don't think Rengar was super OP or anything. I think he's like pretty below average, but maybe Riot doesn't really want someone one-shotting people with just an auto attack and maybe 1 Q, but I feel like this isn't really deserved. Maybe the Rengar mains are actually owning and I just don't know about it, but I don't, I feel like this isn't really needed, but I think his win rate will go down by like 1%, maybe a little bit more. I'm still not sure why this guy is actually getting a nerf though. Next up, Vayne is actually getting a nerf to her Q, so the damage is being reduced by 20%, which kind of means 40% because if you crit, that's multiplied, right? So it's a little bigger nerf than expected, but I honestly feel like she'll be 3-shotting people. Still, I mean, she can still crit with her Q, and it's only 20% bonus AD. I mean, one thing that's a problem with her right now is her stealth, and they should be nerfing that, but apparently they just want to nerf her Q. I mean, the invisible part is a big thing why she's OP, because you can't use pink words anymore to reveal her, so this is a little interesting that she's getting such a little nerf. Win rate will probably go down by like 1%, maybe a little bit more. Next up, RYLAI'S Crystal Scepter is actually getting a change, so basically 600 less gold, 100 less health, 25 less AP, and 20% less slow. Oh, and it's also only for 1 second instead of 1.5 seconds, like single target slows are actually going to be 1 second instead of 1.5 seconds, so yeah, it looks like it's going to be the same as DOTs and stuff like that. This is probably going to break the meta because most mages in the mid lane right now build RYLAI'S Crystal Scepter, but now since this is getting a nerf, I wonder what mages will be playing in the mid lane now, or even build order, because it obviously nerfs stuff like Victor, Malzahar, etc. Well, maybe not Malzahar, but there are definitely a bunch of other champions that are taking a hit from this. Next up is going to be Courage of the Colossus. Now, finally, this is getting a nerf. Okay, so maximum percent health shield is being lowered by 2%, so you can get a total of 25% instead of 35% maximum health shield. It still has its own base shield, so, you know, it's still there, but they lowered the cooldown, so you can't abuse it in the laning phase as much, and only go for that one awesome trade. But at least in the mid game and late game, it's still going to be useful. You're still probably going to see tanks a lot because a 25% maximum health shield is still a big number, and I probably will still use it on Vi. I know Thunderlords is another thing, but yeah, I mean, that shield is just still OP, I feel. And for the final thing we're going to be talking about is Fervor of Battle is getting a buff. Duration is going up by 2 seconds. AD is going up by 2. Well, this is based on what level you are, but yeah, max stacks lowered to 8 instead of 10. And you know, champions like Aurelia, Shyvana, or especially Shyvana, are getting like pretty good buff next patch. Maybe even AD carries will start taking it, although Warlords is still better unless you're like someone like Lucian or someone like Callista, I think. You know, all the weak AD carries right now are now getting a buff. So even though it's a small buff, I'm just wondering what kind of champions we'll see more of in the next patch. I think Shyvana will be like a broken champion or something in permaban, but yeah, you'll probably see different masteries people will take. With this buff coming the Fervor, and of course, the nerf coming the strength of Colossus, but that Colossus nerf probably won't matter too much. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a pretty long video, and hopefully I won't miss the next patch, but if we can get 4,000 likes on this video, I'll comment on tomorrow's video that I am a little bitch. As you can see, I'm a meta slave on YouTube as well. And it's time to do things for likes now, as the YouTube algorithm changed. So yeah, it's time to sell it some dignity for some likes. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time.